Right now on the National Weather Desk, East Coast storm. Millions are in the path of heavy rain and strong winds. Spring snow, a late season winter storm delights travelers and skiers in Washington state.
What could be one of the last big snows of the season.
Losing time? Why the world's clocks may soon have to be turned backwards. Speaking of time, do you know why Easter is so early this year?
Easter always happens on the Sunday following the first full moon that follows the spring equinox.
Our countdown to the total solar eclipse looks at why it can be so difficult to predict solar activity.
The biggest struggle is the distance.
And it's opening day at baseball stadiums across the country, and the weather's already playing a big role. Our team of meteorologists are covering all the bases.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Flood watches and gale warnings are posted for portions of the East Coast today as a storm brings heavy rain and powerful winds from Florida to Maine. Meteorologist Michael Eisenberg looks at what millions of people who live on the East Coast can expect today.
Dual low pressure areas and a slow moving cool front. It'll bring rain and thunderstorms to areas like Charlotte through DC, New York, Boston, up to Portland, Maine, with temperatures in the 40s through the overnight, rising into the 50s and 60s on Thursday afternoon. That rain could last in eastern New England until Friday. It looks like Friday late in the day, and perhaps mixed with snow across the mountains of Maine and northern New Hampshire. Another storm will be moving into the west coast with rain at the coast and mountain snows for the weekend. Total rainfall from this eastern system, you'll notice in the yellow and red, possibly up to 3 to 5 inches across North Carolina and southeastern Virginia, with lower totals of an inch or two up there through the big cities.
And back-to-back storms are bringing heavy rain to the west coast. The first arrives in the Pacific Northwest today. Heavy rain and thunder likely with this storm, but then tomorrow another atmospheric river targets California. Several inches of rain are possible for Southern California. The Weather Prediction Center already placed San Diego and Los Angeles under a level 2 out of 4 for flash flooding on Saturday. Today is the day that awakens the heart of every baseball fan when every team is still undefeated. We are talking about Major League Baseball's opening day. Unfortunately, that East Coast storm has already forced the postponement of 2 games. The Mets taking on the Brewers and the Phillies taking on the Braves will now play tomorrow. But how could the weather impact other games? Meteorologist Tara Blake starts out around the bases at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati.
I'm meteorologist Tara Blake here in Cincinnati, Ohio for opening day. Did you know that Cincinnati had the first professional baseball team? So baseball is life here. And opening day is huge from start to finish. It's a cold start. You can probably see my breath. Temperatures are near the freezing mark, but we're going to warm into the 50s by parade time. Yeah, we have a huge, awesome parade. And then by game time, 4:10, we're going to have that first pitch at about 58 degrees of sunshine. We'll fall through the 50s as we look towards a win against the Nationals.
I'm meteorologist Justin Chambers in Baltimore. Oriole Park at Camden Yards ready for opening day as the O's will take on the LA Angels just after 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now, the tarp is on the field this morning because we've had a few light rain showers, and we do expect to see a few more of those off and on showers with temperatures in the 50s. As always, sold out here at Camden Yards, and that's exactly how it's going to be, a raucous crowd ready for the O's and the Angels. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Justin Chambers.
Meteorologist Katie Morgan has a look at the weather at some other opening day matchups.
Well, the long winter is finally over. Get excited. It's baseball season. Want to take a look at some of the big matchups that are going on this afternoon. We'll see sunshine in Chicago, but chilly. Pretty typical for early baseball season in Chicago. They're taking on the Detroit Tigers. Lots of sunshine for the afternoon at least. We'll see sunshine in Texas as well. For the Yankees matchup against the Astros, beautiful and comfortable in the mid-70s. A night game for the Cubs and the Rangers. We'll see temperatures around 70 at first pitch. Out on the West Coast, the Cardinals taking on the Dodgers in LA. Beautiful, of course, a picture-perfect California day. Mainly sunny skies and a high near 70 degrees. Only hiccup I see will be in the Pacific Northwest, where the Red Sox are taking on the Mariners. And I do think that T-Mobile Park may need to close the roof with the rain chance around, temperatures chilly in those upper 40s. Hope you're having a great opening day so far. Get excited. It's baseball season. I'm meteorologist Katie Morgan.
Thank you, Katie. Wednesday brought some late season snow to Washington's Cascade Mountains. Paul Rivera was at the Snoqualmie Pass and spoke with travelers and officials to find out why the snow is actually a good thing.
Probably one of the most excited people at Snoqualmie Pass was this man who told us he was visiting from Cambodia and had never seen snow before. We talked to another visitor from Michigan who was with family and looking for hiking spots.
I like it. In Michigan, there's no snow right now, so I didn't bring my skis, though, so I could have done some skiing, I think. It would have been better to bring skis instead of hiking gear.
And this mother and daughter from Bremerton who were traveling home from a vacation to Leavenworth and said they had a great time. This snow is going to mean that ski resorts can end their season when they usually do this spring, since there's still plenty of snow on the ground, which means that all the businesses that are nearby will also benefit from the last flow of visitors before the temperatures warm up. The snow outlook did look too promising at the beginning of this winter, as it hadn't snowed that much, causing issues for the resorts. But February and March made up for that. Snow is our water supply, which also turns into our energy supply. That is something important to keep an eye on. This map from the USDA shows our snowpack levels 2 weeks ago in Washington state. You can see greens and yellows in there, which is good to just okay. But now, 2 weeks later, this map shows that our snowpack is melting away. So every bit of snow here will help our landscapes retain that moisture, and it can certainly help as we get ready for fire season.
For the first time in history, the world's timekeepers may have to consider subtracting a second from our clocks. According to a new study, melting polar ice is altering the Earth's rotation, even as the Earth's core is speeding up. So as a result, researchers said the world will need to lose a second, calling it a negative leap second, to coordinate with Earth's rotation. That could happen as soon as 2029. Between 1972 and 2016, 27 separate leap seconds were added as Earth's rotation slowed. The changing climate could also impact the wine industry. Scientists say 90% of the world's wine-growing regions may have to close up shop by the end of the century. Growing grapes suitable for wine depends on very specific temperatures, precipitation, and humidity. A new review says longer droughts and heat waves may make grape production impossible. Regions that could be impacted include Spain, Italy, Greece, and Southern California. Large portions of the country are seeing spring leaf-out season much earlier than usual. Meteorologist Tony Martin explains why that's happening.
Well, it's no secret much of the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic has been pretty warm over the last 5 to 6 weeks, and because of that, we are seeing a very early spring leaf-out season across the region. Most areas outside of the mountainous regions of Pennsylvania, across the Mid-Atlantic and the Ohio Valley, very early this year. In fact, notice on our legend, parts of Ohio and Indiana, the earliest leaf out ever recorded. And time-wise, the same areas running about 3 weeks ahead of schedule, but much of the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic running at least a week to 10 days ahead of normal.
It's not just leaves that are showing up early this year. Sunday is Easter, and this year it's earlier than usual, too. Meteorologist Taylor Canoost explains on Instagram how the spring equinox and the moon determine the date of Easter.
Easter is coming up this Sunday, March 31st, and you may be thinking to yourself, that seems a little bit early, and it is earlier than normal. Here is why. Easter always happens on the Sunday following the first full moon that follows the spring equinox. The spring equinox, or the first day of spring, was on March 19th this year. The first full moon after that wasn't too far after, just a few days, on March 24th, this past Sunday. So, on the calendar, we have to go ahead 1 week on the following Sunday. That puts us on March 31st. The last time we had an Easter in the month of March, back in 2016. It's going to happen again in a few years from now, in 2027.
And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out why strange blue sea creatures are washing up on the beaches of California. Plus tips to help you prepare for severe weather.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have some rainfall on the way in the Northeast, mostly in New York, New Jersey, and also through New England. Western parts of New York, northern Vermont, you're not going to see a lot of rain out of this one at all. Notice the heavy stuff confined in New England, New York here. Western parts of New York, though, you'll see some sun. As we go into Friday, expect some sun to return from west to east. The wind starts to pick up as well. We'll enjoy a lot of sunshine on Saturday, but it will stay breezy.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Still having more rainfall across the area as we move through today. In through the afternoon and evening, we'll finally start to see some changes here, but not until likely 7, 8 o'clock before the system finally exits. Another shot at a brief shower to come our way as we head into Saturday. We're not talking about a washout. Temperatures will recover a bit. We'll be in the 50s as we move through the afternoon on Thursday, but once we get to Friday, upper 50s to low 60s are likely.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast. Highs for the day: 64 degrees in Nashville, 67 in Birmingham, 55 Raleigh, 66 in Charleston. Looking at upper 70s in Tampa, 82 degrees West Palm. We're looking at a cold front moving through the southeastern portion of the country, but behind the front it was much cooler air, drier as high pressure builds in over the Mississippi Delta. Heavy rain across Norfolk, stretching up to the Chesapeake Bay, up around Philadelphia and New York, down through Florida, clearing out for the weekend with plenty of sunshine.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
In California, strange-looking sea creatures are once again washing up on Bay Area beaches. It's not rare, but it's always quite the sight for beachgoers. Cornell Bernard looks at how climate change may be making the phenomenon more common.
You could look at it as a work of art, but it's part of nature.
Natasha Kimmel is amazed by what's washing ashore on Rodeo Beach in Marin. Tiny blue sea creatures as far as you can see.
I've never seen so many here on this beach.
The weird-looking organisms are cousins to jellyfish, but only about an inch or two long. They're called Valela, otherwise known as by-the-wind sailors.
Their name kind of gives away their mode of transportation for sure. So they have these little sails that stick up, and the wind and the currents of the ocean take them along their journey.
Melissa Schwess from Aquarium by the Bay in San Francisco says what's happening here is not uncommon, but is cool to see.
Well, I thought at first, I go, wow, there's a lot of these things out here, more than I've ever seen.
Awanish Mishra came from Davis to check out the small gelatinous creatures.
I guess my concern is, first, is this normal?
Literally millions of these organisms are washing ashore up and down the California coast. But the biggest question is, why are they here?
We've been seeing so many different changes in our weather patterns, be it from man-made climate change or El Nino patterns that are historically naturally occurring, but both of those are definitely something at play.
Experts say for those lucky enough to see these colonies washing ashore, it's best to look and not touch and keep pets away too. Just nature doing its thing.
In the Texas Panhandle, there's an effort to help folks become better gardeners in the wake of devastating wildfires. The flames charred more than 1.5 million acres, as Drew Powell explains. It's creating a new challenge for different types of growers.
I think if the fire came across it, it should be fine as long as you work the ground like you normally would.
The multi-county gardening clinic hosted by Texas A&M AgriLife comes at a good time as the temperatures are expected to climb into the 70s this weekend, and it's typically after Easter when people start putting seed in the ground.
A lot of people will have to start over pretty well with their vegetable gardens this year.
Wildfires can have a significant impact on the physical properties of soil. A fire burns away the vegetation and the dead organic matter on the surface of the soil, thus creating an opportunity to get new vegetation to grow in the burned areas.
The fire can be a good thing. Talking about soil in the ground, it kind of burns away all the weeds and everything like that, and gives the ability to rebuild and start from scratch.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic, more people have turned to gardening. Studies have shown a well-designed and maintained landscape add around a 10% value to your house. It also helps alleviate stress and affords people to feel productive.
This will be the time to also to work your soil and to compost it if you're desiring to compost it, because you want to put the compost out about 2 months in advance.
If you're starting to garden for the first time, it's best to learn your frost dates and remember to water mindfully.
We continue our countdown to the solar eclipse across America. Now less than 2 weeks away. Emily Gracie spoke to a forecaster from the Space Weather Prediction Center to find out why it's so tough to predict solar activity and how the solar max may impact your view of the eclipse.
I think the biggest struggle is the distance, right? 93 million miles. That's a long distance to try to predict whether or not a storm leaving the sun is going to impact our planet. Some things that happen on the sun are speed of light, and the effect is already here on the sunlit side of our planet when we observe it. But others take time to get here, and that's where we struggle the most in this science.
Is there going to be a difference with this eclipse? Are we, as just people on Earth looking up at the eclipse, going to notice anything different from versus the 2017 eclipse to this eclipse because of this higher activity?
Yeah, Emily, it's quite possible. We could get really lucky during this long eclipse, which if you're right in the middle of the path of totality at its best here in America, I think it's close to 4.5 minutes long. And the corona, that's the first thing people could take witness of, is that outermost layer of the sun where the solar wind is now streaming into space. And you can see this lovely corona. It may have some structure and shape instead of just a nice circle this time because of solar max. There's going to be changes there. If there's a coronal mass ejection leaving the side of the sun, it's possible people may see an actual kind of a bulb formation along the perimeter of the moon there in the inner solar corona. Also, one area of the sun that's kind of between the area that the light escapes, called the photosphere, and the corona is one called the chromosphere. And you can see that as a little red color right around the perimeter of the moon, or just as it's gotten covered up. And you may see a large filament, this fiery orange, red colored thing, if there's one happens to be attached to the side of the sun, if you will, in a magnetic field. That'd be pretty cool to see too.
We all have these glasses and we're using them for the eclipse. Can we use them outside of the eclipse to view the sun? Is that safe? And if so, is there anything we can actually see with them?
Yes, you can use those. You could go out right now if the sun is shining, if you have those glasses, and see if you could see any of the larger sunspot groups that are already sitting on the sun for us in our view.
And stay with the National Weather Desk as we continue the countdown to the days until the April 8th eclipse. We'll have 3 hours of live coverage as we track the eclipse from Texas to Maine. We also have an entire playlist dedicated to our eclipse on our YouTube channel. And this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar, is all about the big event. You can find out the Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Many parts of the country saw severe weather this week. When severe weather is in the forecast, there are things you can do days ahead of the storm to make sure you're prepared. Meteorologist Matt Gunn explains.
Best sources to get weather information is local TV, the National Weather Service, weather radio, and weather apps. Before those sirens go off, there are a few things that you can do to be ready for those situations. You can make sure you have enough emergency supplies, go over your communication plan, know where the safe places are in your building. The day before a severe weather event is when you may want to adjust any plans you have. Make sure your phone is set up for wireless emergency alerts, and make sure your safe place is clean and easy to get to. For the day of the event, make sure everyone knows the communication plan and knows how to get to their safe place in a matter of seconds. I'm meteorologist Matt Gunn reporting.
Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We begin with a look at downtown Rockford, Illinois, where it's cloudy this morning. Those clouds will give way this afternoon to mostly sunny skies with a high just around 50 degrees. St. Augustine, Florida is known as the nation's oldest city, founded in 1565. The storm along the East Coast is bringing rain here today along with isolated storms. The high will be around 70 degrees. No rain in Indianapolis today. Folks here can expect mostly sunny skies with highs in the mid to upper 50s. And if dreary weather has you down, enjoy this shot of the Governor's Harbor in the Bahamas. Unfortunately, it should be mostly cloudy today with highs in the mid to upper 70s. And time now for a short break, but first we soar over Pennsylvania's Cranberry Glade Lake.
Well, a very good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Pretty quiet for most of the Midwest today. Temperatures on the cool side, but at least a little bit warmer than what they were yesterday. Moving ahead into your Friday, got a little bit of snow to the north, a couple of light rain showers across the Ohio Valley and lower Great Lakes. By the time that we get to Friday, that rain, and Saturday, the rain will be ramping up even more, especially across the lower Great Lakes, and some light snow showers potentially up near the UP of Michigan.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Temperatures sitting into the 40s from El Paso, but look at this, Oklahoma City at 35 degrees. A little chilly out across most of the areas this morning, with the exception South Texas. Low pressure fades out. High pressure starts to build in. We'll see a little bit of a dry line set out toward the west. Overall, should be a much more sunnier day. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Thursday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. We're seeing widely scattered showers throughout the west, and in some cases, it's already nice and warm as we head into late March and spring takes over. 82 today in Phoenix sounds lovely. Look at that chilly 36, however, left around Yellowstone. This is the big weather maker rolling through the Four Corners region and back into the northern plains today. Scattered showers and thunderstorms in its wake near Seattle and Portland. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
This rainbow made an appearance as snowfall turned to showers near Missoula, Montana, reflections of snowy mountain majesties and lake water near Seattle, and high winds knocked down this tree in Tennessee. They're known as mountain waves, not related to thunderstorms, and are enhanced in East Tennessee's mountains and foothills during strong southeast winds.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Time now to share viewer photos our meteorologists are sharing on their social pages. Kelly Foster posted this fantastic shot of a crane taking in the sunset at Gulf Shores, Alabama. Sunset in the Tennessee Valley was pretty spectacular last night. Several viewers sent meteorologist David Glenn some photos, and he posted them on his Facebook. Then 3 cardinals enjoy the spring weather in a redbud tree in Sumter, South Carolina. As meteorologist Ed Petrowski noted in his Instagram post, the brilliant red color means these are male cardinals. We'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Make it a great day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.